I like to say Jake has had 75 movie shots, or 76 I think. I've had 75, 76 bar fights. So we kind of blended it together and we bounced off each other and we made a classic.
This is the New York City boxing.
I used to, literally right there, I used to, around 8 miles, watch people spar.
It's a great place to start. You would train here.
Well, Connor would train here.
I trained here a few times. I'm not a New Yorker now, so I would just, on my travels, I've been here for work and for business, or a fight upcoming. I had my double world title here against Eddie Alvarez in New York, the first UFC event legalized in New York. We had it here in Madison Square Garden. I trained here for periods in the lead up to it.
Crazy.
And then you trained here as well,
I trained
Jake,
for 2 months pretty much straight for Southpaw.
I feel like if you're in New York City and you're looking to train at a real boxing gym, you can't get any more real than this. We're like 4 floors down underground. It's almost like a bomb-proof
when the
gym.
people here too, it's so inspiring.
Yeah, and there's a martial arts spot at the back of it also, which has mats that you can go barefoot.
I remember I had a meeting in the back when we were training with Antoine Fuqua and 50 Cent before 50 decided to go do the movie.
Wow.
He came here, came down.
What movie was this?
Southpaw.
Oh, he was in Southpaw?
Yeah, he plays my character's manager.
Wow.
I was back there and I was like, oh, I remember that table.
Did you actually train in this place for that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, definitely, yeah, really good. Wait, was it shot here in New York, or where was it shot?
No, we shot in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, it's a real boxing town as well, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I was here, so we found here, and they're great here. And they I'd come every day.
Yeah, they
I
look
do 2
after
days here.
Did you, yeah?
Yeah.
Deadly. What was your boxing experience like before the movie? None?
Zero.
Not even a jab?
I mean,
you've done some fight scenes and that before, right? And, jab.
Yeah.
But not in a box. You want to be crisp with your shots.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea the art of it.
And this is where you came, church street boxing. Well done. Yeah. You're a credit to your craft. You immerse yourself in your roles. And, that's impressive. It's a trait I've taken from working with you for my own self going forward.
Oh, but also, like, watching your documentary, watching that and seeing how much you put into your... I mean, obviously, fighting is a completely different game, but the things you've done to your body to get yourself to that place, not only in training, but also to get yourself to weight and stuff. That was what made me think about it, the psychology of all that.
Yeah.
Because that's a different world. Then you have to enter a different world.
Yeah.
Of all the things, that's the most admirable. It's
an intense game for sure. It is a very intense game, a very difficult game to achieve even a fraction of success. Mm-hmm. All it took me, Jake, was every single waking second of my life. And my thinking, sleep. That's it. That's all it took.
Okay,
and then
cool.
voila. And then voila, I got a launch pad to get to somewhere else. I didn't even get it off of that. Do you get me?
I feel you.
So I relate so much to the fight game and to the combatants in the game. And that's why I'm fully immersed in it. With my companies and my brands, I support many fighters and up becoming gyms, and I know what it takes in this business, and it's not an easy business whatsoever.
Yeah, but your energy, you have so much energy. You're always up to things, doing things, your businesses, your physicality, all of it. To me, working with you, like when you first came to set on the very first day, I've really never worked with anybody where when you came to set, there was like a crowd. Like everybody was like craning their necks. They're, oh, Connor's here, Connor's here. You have this incredible charisma. It shows in the movie. As soon as your character comes in, it's like get a shot. It's the movie started like, oh, it's so fun. Okay, what's gonna happen? And the whole thing takes off. It's so cool.
Grew legs for sure. It was a cameo, in and out type of vibe. And then as I got in, it certainly grew legs. I don't remember exactly how it started.
They wanted an intro for you.
I know the location was different. It was supposed to be Hong Kong, then it was Italy. So I was going to be going to be in Hong Kong. And I don't know whether I was bouncing off an apartment or I was bouncing off something.
Something. But I just remember that they wanted you to have a good intro. I remember because he didn't have that kind of intro.
Yeah. Well, they gave me a good one, and I'm happy with it.
And an outro too.
An outro as well.
That's good. The first idea of getting Connor, I was like, good luck, And then slowly it started to become reality, and I thought, no way. No way. And then I remember where I was. I was biking. I was on a bike in France. It was like 1 a.m. and I was coming home from a dinner.
Right.
And I was biking home and I got the phone call. I was like, Connor's in. And I was like, no way. And then I was like, oh shit, we have to fight.
It would have been a hard no for me. You know, it was always a yes to work with yourself. You know, I've always been a fan of your work. I'm always an admirer of your work, especially Doug Lyman as well, a phenomenal director.
Yes.
Joel Silver, the producer, who action man Joel is in the industry. And you know, then you think about the story itself and the movie itself. You know, the Roadhouse, the fights. It just all of it hit home, and I was always going to do it.
You're a huge fan of the original Roadhouse.
Oh,
right?
huge fan of the original for sure. Yeah. So maybe I wanted to get in there to make sure it was going to be looked after. You know, and I'm happy with it. I think, you know, I know there's a lot of people that are going to be out with a magnifying glass. You know, want to be cynical and want to point something. But I believe everyone. Fans, especially fans of the past one, are going to love this one, and it's a new addition for them.
The question everybody asks me is whether or not someone's going to get their throat ripped out.
Yeah.
That's a big question.
Yeah, there was loads of things. You know, if you think about the amount of things that we could have done and that can be done.
I know.
You know, who knows what happens in the future, but could have been a bit more homage to it. But it's a reimagination. It's not the same story. Yeah. It's a trope off of the story.
You can't
the
match
UFC, and I absolutely love. For fight fans and myself, a fighter, when the intro and the crowd, that was so worth it. To make that trip to Las Vegas, to lock down the UFC. We at the time walk-ins, in between walk-ins, you know, so we were using the real crowd. We went to the weigh-ins. Jake had a weigh-in against a former UFC fighter, Jay Fearon. They squared off against each other, and I was in the crowd, getting the crowd hyped up for this. So I was a fan, but you know, when it all came together in the movie, it was all so worth it.
I remember real fight fans being like, what is going on here? Jake Gyllenhaal looking shredded at the weigh-in.
Yeah, because that would have been the first time they'd seen him.
I know, right?
There was no messing about in the preparation for sure. There was a lot of really intense work for preparation, and then on set was no less intense. It was hard work.
How did that all come about? Whose idea was that? And what was like the logistics involved with like making that happen?
Well, it was important from the very beginning that we have the UFC involved because obviously my character was written as a character who's an ex-UFC fighter, and it was just essential to the whole thing.
It was hit and miss at times, wasn't it?
It was.
It was going to be maybe ex-FC or something like that.
But also
because obviously Dalton's history, the story is he's killed somebody, and the UFC didn't really want that. I was like, hold on, well maybe let's veer away from that. But no, that had to be the story. So we got there in the end, but it was almost lost. The UFC the partnership almost fell through then in the end. But thankfully we got there because everyone knows the Octagon. That walk, it's iconic, and it livens. The movie just comes to life then, you know what I mean? Well, that's the way I felt.
We shot the movie and we had all these supposed flashback scenes. We hadn't shot them yet. Actually, we prepared a month after to go to the UFC. I think it was 283, the night before I got COVID. And so we had to scrap the plan to go back to Vegas for 285. It ended up being an incredible night, 285. That was
the John Jones, was it? Yeah, it was a great night.
It was like, the energy was so incredible. It was like everything worked in the right way. And you know, it takes a village to do something like that because essentially all we had was, we were told by UFC we had either anything between 45 seconds to 7.5 minutes, depending on how far the other fights went.
This is in cage?
In cage,
yeah.
Because depending on how long the fights went, how far they went, we wouldn't know. Yeah. So like you could have 45 seconds. So we had to design 3 plans.
How did you feel going into the Octagon with the crowds? Nervous? You must have been. You've never fucking done it before, and you're in an actual live place. There was a real fight before you, and there was a real fight after you.
No, I was high. I was high for 4 days.
Oh
my god,
that does happen. I don't sleep for about 48 hours at least.
I can believe it.
Even probably more. You're just full of adrenaline, and it's a mad. Post-fight is a mad experience.
Jay said to me, Jay here, and he said before we went in there, and could feel the crowd. We could feel the crowd going. He goes, let's make it real. You can hit me for real if you want.
Yeah,
you know? It was like everything switched, you know? Everything
he probably
switched.
would have liked that. He probably would have wanted to smack him. You pretty much did. You cracked him with a good knee. You know, they were watching. Their shots were good. You came through. You represented the sport. You represented the movie. And, you know, fair play to you.
Thanks, man. That means a lot coming from you. It's just the thing I think often. I'm sitting here with Conor McGregor. Like, I remember watching him fight and come up and then become a phenom, and then all of a sudden, thanks to like this incredible job I have, all of a sudden I'm sitting across from him and we've done something together. You know, it's like
exact same. Likewise,
it sort of blows your mind. It's interesting. Circle in that I trained here, and then I remember in a similar way, like when I met Eminem, like when I met Marshall when we were doing promotion for that movie, and I met him before that a little bit, but really we were doing promotion. I was like, my God, I've been such a fan for so many years, and now I'm sitting across someone who I idolize and who's so incredible at their job. This sport has brought so many people together of all different levels, of all different skill sets, and that's what's incredible about this gym is like, you look around when you're here and they're beginners and they're kids and then they're experts and then they're retired pros and everybody's a community here.
Can you imagine the people that have walked through these doors over the years?
No, I remember walking one day, you walk any given day and this is probably, but I remember walking down the halls here and there was just blood all over the floor, you know what I mean? This is a place that has great history.
So you both were familiar with each other before working with each other, fans of each other even. How did expectations versus reality meet up?
This guy's great,
for sure. Above and beyond. I needed a bit of support. I'm novice at this game, at his game, the acting game. So Jake was able to give me tips and pointers, and Jake and everyone on cast, they were very patient with me. So it meant a lot to me, and for sure.
One of the things I was so impressed by was the first thing he ever said to me was, he said, Jake, I'm a white belt in this.
Yeah.
And I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
And from somebody who is in your position to say that, I thought, again, referencing MMA, I think mixed martial arts brings out a humility as well.
For sure.
Takes profound confidence
100%.
and a big ego and all those
100%.
things. But I think within the space, there's this humility. And I was really moved by that. And I think so was Doug. I remember talking to him after he spoke to you for the first time. And I was just, that's exactly the attitude, I think, to come in and try and make something great. And and you absolutely did. I learned a lot, and I was a fan of his for many years before. What's your biggest challenge as a new actor?
Oh, jeez. A new actor, I came in right at the top. I got in right beside yourself. I got, guidance from Doug Lyman under Joel Silver. You know what I mean? I was looked after. I got right in there. So as far as like challenges what a normal rising actor would get, it's not comparison. For me, it was almost the shock of the workload of it. You're talking 15-hour days, even 18-hour days, and then you've got a few hours rest and you're back in. That just took me by surprise, but I was very blessed, man, very lucky. I don't know what it is and how I got in here, and I just made some smart moves and committed myself, and let's see how it goes. That final fight scene is a great scene, isn't it? When we were shooting it, and I was like, because the first one is so good, come in with the thing, and then we go around, and that's such a great scene. And then when we were doing the next one, or the last one, not the next one, the last one, I was thinking maybe the other one, the early one's better. But then when you see it, no, it's cinema magic. It is, yeah. That's a hats off to Gareth Warren.
Absolutely.
Those stunt guys were
Steve,
unbelievable.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
We had all across the board. We had great backing, great support, great teamwork.
Garrett Warren and Steve Brown, who are our stunt coordinator, fight coordinator, respectively, they choreographed a lot of these fights. But then what they're so great at is that they allowed us to put our own spin on things. And because when for instance, the first slap fight was first a punch fight. And then I had this idea that, it'd be kind of funny if it was a slap
great.
fight.
It was brilliant.
And they were like, that's a great idea.
And that was great about them. That they were very, accommodating. So they'd come up with a concept, and then we'd say, well, this feels nice. And then it'd be like, yes, that's it. And then we'd all be just one team in unison.
But you would constantly, the thing that was incredible about having Connor was that, he would come up with something and go, I don't believe that. Nah, fight fans aren't going to like that.
Yeah. I would have been peculiar about that. That would have been my thing.
Yeah, but you would also, you guide me through things too. Like when we were grappling,
yeah, just like body talking the body, and just to make the shot more realistic, the way the body mechanics would be. And it worked. It absolutely worked.
So do you, when you watch movies, fight movies or just movies generally where there's action, do you notice when it's bad? Do you notice when you don't play?
You would. I go into an imaginative state. I don't really. I wouldn't critique it so much. I would just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
But being involved in it personally, knowing the history of the Roadhouse, the classic that it is, the cult classic that it is, and knowing now the UFC is involved, I was for sure picky with it. Little details on a punch, on certain punches. Jake knows how to throw a backhand, knows how to throw a jab, knows how to throw shots.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need a little reminder of it, and then you're able to do it, and then boom, it makes the shot look way more.
We were shooting things like in
slow motion,
but long takes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we could go and focus on one punch or two punches. A lot of times there were 8, 9, 10 combinations at a time. And so you'd get 6 of them, but then you'd miss 2 in the middle, and then you'd get the last 2, right? And so for me, my mind didn't work that way too. We shot a lot of those things at night too. A lot of those fights are at night, so you're 3 in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Your brain starts to go like...
Yeah, you're a bit delirious.
Yeah.
What I will say is I've never seen a movie like it. As far as absorbing shots and fight scenes, I've never seen it. It was... The method, like looking when I get close to you, don't let no one get this close and I'll bang you with my head. That's like I've given you a full smack in my head. You know what I mean? And the methods we've done.
Wait, but do you remember when we were shooting that? And I remember you were like, looking at it, you're like, is it really making contact? Is it making contact? Then we did the 4-pass process and you were still like, I don't know. And I was like, it's going to look cool. Remember? That was so interesting to me because...
So talk to them on the 4-pass project.
First pass is him faking hitting me and me responding to it. Being really close and him going like that and me hitting back. And the second pass was, the pad was replacing me and then Connor would headbutt the pad. And then the next pass was he was the pad and then it would hit me.
Yeah.
And then the last pass was slow motion where Connor was just going
I love that part. I love doing that with the kids then.
Yeah, like
doing that with the kids.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I had what an experience. The door with a scene where I burst through the roadhouse in the fucking car. I got a hold of a vehicle and go through the car and then I'm stuck in the car. I can't get it out. And just as I'm about to get out, Jake runs over, slams it into me, bang. And we had to just repeat it because Doug was like, no, it's not. It's not believable. Now we were supposed to practice it. I was my first time on set, right? Or my first time doing this role. So some of the times I might have, I was a little off on a day. It was an overwhelming one at times, right? And one of the days we were supposed to practice before we done it, and I didn't show up for it. And they weren't happy. No one was happy. I wasn't even happy myself. I was only supposed, whatever, I won't get into the politics about it, but I was there. I should have been there a little bit earlier. I wasn't yet, and they weren't happy with me. But I'm getting the door smacked off me, right? And it's over, bang. And Doug is the director. Doug said, no, it's not real enough. We should have been here. We were practicing. And I said, what? And then I have a fucking black eye. The door was actually smacking me in the fucking... I was actually getting full whacks of the door. I'm saying, what do you mean it's not real enough? I'm actually getting hit with the door here. This is a real car door.
No, but also...
It was as real as it gets, man. We're not fighting on a little dinghy. Not a dinghy, what's it called? A Pontiac?
Yeah, a dinghy. Yeah,
like a dinghy, and the boat goes like that. I'm holding on through the water.
The water.
Yeah. Crazy stuff for my first one. But, I immersed, we done it.
Do you remember the rope that was connected to the door? And I had to slam the door, but there's a rope that was connected to it.
Yeah,
every time I did it, I was like, I don't want to crush Connor.
Yeah, because my leg is like, and the rope, it's just a rope that's stopping it. But accidents can happen on set, and I had only come from a fucking horrific leg injury. Something like that. But we had a great time, man. Jesus, we made a classic, I feel. We made a good one for the people, and I'm excited for them to see it. I really am excited for them to see it and see how the response is.
Same. Yeah. What's in the future for Conor McGregor, the actor?
I don't know. I'm in talks with no one. In talks for a fight. So I'm looking to get back in competition. Yeah. Hopefully June 29th. Then hopefully September for Mexican Independence Day.
I'm not up for that. I just want you to know.
Yeah. No, it's time for me to get my competitive game going again, so that's what I'm focused on.
Just because you're doing this doesn't mean you're not still a fighter, you're not...
Nah, I mean, I don't. This is Jake's game, Fighting's my game. Yeah. So, but it was enjoyable, and I'm enjoying the whole process, and I always said, like, people that ask, will I do it again? I said, wait till the movie comes out, and let me see how I feel about it, and then I'll go from there.
I'd love to work with him again, and... there are a lot of cool ideas.
Yeah.
So
you should make a real UFC movie someday.
I mean, the UFC is a movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
embedded, all that stuff.
The UFC.
I mean, the stories of the fighters, and as you follow them, as everything ebbs and flows. One of the most beautiful things I think about it too, and I would just say in terms of your story, is also the way in which you are in success, but also in defeat. Like, to me, that's a story of you that I find so inspiring. I think so many people do, and that's that game, particularly in the UFC. Like that fight game is a different game. It's different in the UFC than it is in boxing and stuff.
It's an addictive business. It is an addictive business. That's why I'm eager to get back. My story's not done yet. I came off of a big heavy injury. I got the chance to do this movie, but I got to get back in there now. I've been out handing out the flyers. It's time to get back to the shop now. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well, you're welcome back to our shop anytime.
Thank you. You're doing Broadway now with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Wow, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
That's gonna be intense, my man.
Yeah.
When? What? Talk to me on the process of that. Because remember we were talking on set and you were saying about Broadway and it's a different it's a different kettle of fish. You actually prefer Broadway, do you? Was that what you said to me?
Well, I love being in front of an audience. I mean, when I got into the ring in the same way,
you felt that.
It felt familiar in that way. Totally unfamiliar in a lot of other ways. But to me, that's the same thing. As you walk in front of a live audience every night, and you have a challenge, and the challenge is to tell a story with this group of people. And particularly for me, the challenge has always been something I want to set with Shakespeare, who is, goes without saying, is Shakespeare.
When is it coming out?
Next year.
So you'll go into now preparation for that, and it'll take a good year of preparation.
Yes.
So you'll be practicing on stage, and then you'll release it next year. I can't wait for that, my man. I'll be at that.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
I'll be at that.
Great.
Denzel and everything, man. What? That's something else,
Legend,
isn't it?
Yeah. No,
What's the Shakespeare story? What's it called?
Othello.
Othello. Yeah. Very good. You just do one show a night, or what way does the shows work then?
2 days a week you do 2 shows.
2 days a week you do 2 shows a day, so 4 shows a week.
8 shows a week.
Oh, 8 shows. Okay. I'll do a cameo. I'll be like the tree or something. Is there? I play a great tree. I did Shakespeare. There's palm trees in Shakespeare. Now I look forward to that, my man. I look forward to that for sure.
All right, guys.
Brilliant. Jake, top man. Great day, brother. Thank you so much.
Same.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you all.